You are listening to Let's Talk Trio on podcasts. Keep up with the latest episodes by downloading the Podbean app or stream episodes via our social media accounts. Search for Let's Talk Trio on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. This episode is sponsored by Student Access. Student Access, the leader in TRIO software. Student Access is an online database solution that allows TRIO programs to track their students' information, connect with students by text messages, streamline the APR, and work from anywhere, all online, with automatic updates for changes from the Department of Education. Their technical support team includes former TRIO staff and has over 50 years of combined experience working with TRIO. Make it easier to focus on your priority, the students. For more information and to request a free demo, visit their website at www.studentaccess.com or call them toll-free at 1-800-801-1232. That website again is www.studentaccess.com or 1-800-801-1232. Be sure to share your favorite episodes on your social media by tapping that share button. This is a great way to support the podcast. Now here's your host, Juan Rivas.
Thank you, Amelia, for that wonderful introduction. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Let's Talk Trio. In this episode, we have the students, alum, and staff of the Pre-McNair program at St. Louis University in St. Louis, Missouri. This was such a fun episode to create and to be a part of. We had a panel of 6 members from the SLU McNair program, and it was such a fascinating experience, not only because we got to hear different voices, but we got to hear and listen to various experience from students, staff, alum, and how each of their experiences have what they've taken away from the Pre-McNair program. Now, also, this is different in that this is one of our first McNair programs that we've done an interview for. So TRIO programs help pre-college. If you're in high school or in a pre-college setting, it's starting to help you get transition. And then you have student support services who helps you in the first 4 years of college or through your undergraduate years. And then you have unique programs like the Equal Opportunity Centers and Veterans Upward Bound, Math Science, all of those programs. And then you have the Pre-McNair program for students who are seeking graduate degrees going beyond the bachelor's. So having students on the program to talk about their experiences in the McNair program about research and all of that, you'll get to listen to what they have to say about that. And again, Dr. Jamie Motley and her staff and then her students, it was such a wonderful experience. And I really thoroughly enjoyed spending time and listening to their stories, their contributions, and the things they get to look forward to. So coming up in just a bit, the Pre-McNair program at SLU. If you would ever like to be featured on Let's Talk Trio, please send us a message via Facebook, Instagram, or email us at letstalktrio, all one word, at gmail.com. Again, that's letstalktrio@gmail.com. Thank you to our sponsors, Student Access and Angelica Villalpando, for sponsoring the podcast. You too can be a sponsor. Go over to Patreon and look for Let's Talk Trio, donate any dollar amount, and receive perks like recognition on the podcast. If you are a company or organization and would like to sponsor Let's Talk Trio, we do have ad space for you to run an ad on our podcast. Please contact us for rates. Now, without any further ado, please sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode. 3, 2, 1. My next guests on the podcast are from the Ronald E. McNair Post-Baccalaureate Achievement Program at St. Louis University in St. Louis, Missouri, also known as SLU. We have them from the SLU McNair program. First in our panel is the SLU McNair Program Director, Dr. Jamie D. Motley, a native of Chicago. Dr. Motley first began working in TRIO as a graduate assistant at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, where she earned her master's degree in higher education administration and Ph.D. in educational policy studies. She has held leadership positions at multiple colleges and universities in Illinois, Georgia, Alabama, and Missouri. Dr. Motley began her tenure at St. Louis University in 2014 as a member of the TRIO Student Support Services staff and was promoted to McNair Scholars Program Director in the fall of 2017. In addition to her graduate degree, she holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in journalism from Western Illinois University and is a frequent contributor to the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, submitting content about SLU McNair. Welcome, Dr. Jamie Motley, to the Let's Talk TRIO podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Also joining the panel, we have SLU McNair Academic Coordinator Anthony Parker-Gills, who joined the McNair Scholars Program staff in November of 2017. Prior to that, he was a relationship manager post-secondary prep at Big Brothers Big Sisters of Eastern Missouri. He was also a practicum student with TRIO Student Support Services, as well as the TRIO Educational Talent Search Program at St. Louis University. Like Dr. Motley, Anthony is from Chicago and has a Bachelor of Arts in Criminology and Criminal Justice from Southern Illinois University, Carbondale, and a Master of Social Work from St. Louis University. He is currently pursuing a Ph.D. in higher education at SLU. Welcome, Anthony Parker-Gills, to the podcast. Also on the podcast is SLU McNair Graduate Assistant Sunita Manu. Sunita joined the give me a sec. Sunita joined the SLU McNair staff in September of 2018. She attained her bachelor's degree in psychology and biology from Newman University in 2013, earned her master's degree in public health from SLU in 2019, and is entering her second year in the Ph.D. program in public health at SLU. In addition to serving as GA to the SLU McNair Scholars Program, she also coordinates the Pre-McNair program, Gateway to McNair. Welcome, Sunita Manu, to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you.
Also appearing on the podcast, we have Hope Conyers, a Belleville, Illinois native and current participant of SLU McNair program. Hope serves as an ambassador to SLU McNair and is also a TRIO Student Support Services participant. She is a rising senior majoring in communication sciences and disorders at SLU. Welcome, Hope, to the podcast. We also have 3 TRIO alumni joining us on the podcast. We have Brandon Hughes, a St. Louis native and a rising Ph.D. student in social psychology and SLU McNair alum. We also have Derek R. McFarland Jr., hails from Eastern St. Louis, Illinois, and is a rising Ph.D. student in ecology, evolution, and conservation biology, and a SLU McNair alum. And we also have Wendy Teal, a St. Louis native, is a rising master's in biology who participated in both TRIO Student Support Services and McNair. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Let's Talk TRIO podcast.
Hello. I think part of our group is muted, but hi.
Hi.
Hey, thanks for having
There we go.
How's everybody doing?
Hello, everyone. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have you all on this podcast. Welcome to the Let's Talk TRIO podcast. And it's a huge honor to have you on. This is a very unique episode in that this is our first group interview / panel. So again, it's a huge honor on our end to have you here.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
So one question I want to throw out to the group is, how did you each become involved in the TRIO programs?
Well, I guess I can go ahead and start. So when I was in graduate school at the University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana, one of the many assistantships I had was actually in the Office of Minority Student Affairs, which housed, and I believe still does house, the TRIO programs. And I was a graduate assistant for a couple of years for TRIO Student Support Services. Shout out to Michael Jeffries. He was there at the time when I was attending, and I actually still see him when I go to McNair related events. He's a trainer and consultant and everything. So I pretty much have come full circle. I did not expect to necessarily return to TRIO, but when the opportunity presented itself, it just seemed like it was written in the stars for me to make this journey and really just give it my all. So that's my story.
Right on. Thank you.
I'll go next. Well, mine is a little shorter because this being a part of McNair is actually how I became involved with the TRIO program. So as a graduate assistant, this is my first time actually being involved with the TRIO program.
All right. Sunita, so a follow-up for you is, how did you hear about McNair and how did you get involved?
So my mentor, my mentor for my PhD program, before she became my mentor for the PhD program, was my unofficial mentor for my master's degree. So she knows Dr. Jamie, and I think through some networking event, she knew that there was a position open, and so she told me you should check it out and see if this is something you would like to do. And I got on there and my research, and I think I emailed Dr. Jamie like the next day or so after I was told about the position.
Yeah.
So that's how I found out about McNair. Mm-hmm.
Right on.
And if I can just add, her mentor, Dr. Rhonda Ballou, is actually on our advisory board. So when we were looking for an outstanding graduate assistant, I asked Dr. Ballou if she knew of anyone, and she said, I've got someone for you.
Nice.
And interestingly, when we interviewed Sunita for the position, I believe she was in Senegal at the time. And so we actually interviewed her via Skype from Senegal. So that was interesting.
Yeah. Right on. That's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. Who would like to go next?
Okay, I'm jumping. It's my turn.
Go for it.
I'm Wendy. You can't see me right now, but I'm here to provide as much information as I can to your questions. So during undergrad, I was a part of both the McNair program and student support services. I first joined student support services at my community college, which is called St. Louis Community College Merrimack. And after meeting a great group of students who put me onto the program, they taught me about what a first-generation student was. They enlightened me on the challenges that students like me face, the statistics of the program completion rates, and then they also let me know the resources that were available to me. So I had this intake interview with the director, and I learned more about the program. I met every qualification, and this was the start to an enriching and fulfilling aspect of my life for many, many years to come. And then I actually picked SLU based on the fact that they had an existing SSS program. So like when you're in the program for a long time, at least for me, it kind of becomes like second nature to be out on the lookout for opportunities exclusive to your student demographic. And McNair was one of those opportunities. Like at the time, I had no knowledge that there was a pipeline of first generation students beyond, upward bound and talent search in the SSS, but I knew extending my participation to McNair was something I wanted to be a part of. So I applied to that program, had an interview, and was accepted. And until this day, when I received that acceptance email from Dr. Motley, it has been the hallmark moment in my undergraduate career. That was the moment I became less intimidated by my goals, and I felt like I actually had the resources I need to keep beating those statistics and continue chasing my dreams.
Wendy, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Oh, no problem.
I can go next.
Please do.
I'm Derek, and the first time I was ever involved with TRIO was through McNair, just like Sunita. But as a student, so Dr. Motley and Anthony actually came to my school. I'm from Harrisville State University. Everyone else here is at SLU. And they came and did a presentation, all of the benefits and everything that McNair had to offer to students who were in my position. And at that time, I was really struggling finding, I guess, some initial opportunities as far as summer internships or, introductions to grad school. And McNair supplied every single one of those things. So it was pretty much a no-brainer for me to apply. And when I was accepted, just like Wendy, I was very ecstatic.
That is amazing. Awesome. Thank you, Derek.
I guess I can go ahead and go next.
Please do.
My name's Brandon. I pretty much got involved similar, just like Derek. McNair was my first time really going into any kind of TRIO program. And, it's been an amazing adventure. And I am extremely glad to have had the opportunities that I've had over these past couple of years. I think I got in towards the second semester of my sophomore year. I think that's when I interviewed. Not being in school kind of makes you blur everything together all at the same time. So, those past couple of, junior year and senior year, were great opportunities, with the summer research internship and just being able to really get a good taste of what is to come in graduate school.
Right on. Thank you for sharing, Brandon.
So I got involved with TRIO because my friends offered free printing. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know college offered that. Uh-huh. So once I figured out that there was a place to get free printing and that there were snacks and that there was support, I really got interested in TRIO and SSS. And once I got into TRIO and SSS, my academic advisor, Kofi, really explained to me what the McNair program is. And that's how it really started from there. And I feel like it really changed the entire trajectory of my college career, because I feel like they really set up goals for me to reach.
That's amazing. Thank you, Hope, for sharing.
All right, so I'll go next. My name is Anthony. So I got involved with TRIO. This was back in 2016 when I was working on my master's in social work at St. Louis University. I had previously had a graduate assistantship at St. Louis University graduate admissions office. So doing a lot of work in that space, but I knew I wanted to work with first generation college students because I'm a first generation college student myself. So I found out about the pre-college access and TRIO programs department. And I did a whole year internship with that department. And then I graduated, but then 6 months later, the pre-college access and TRIO programs got the McNair grant. And I was able to come back on and start then in 2017. So that's how I got my start at McNair.
Wow. Awesome. Anthony, thank you so much for sharing. And you all have very unique stories that the audience really relates to. And it's amazing to hear your story of perseverance and how you got involved. So Dr. Motley, I'm going to pivot to you and ask you a question. What department is the McNair Scholars Program housed in at SLU?
Sure. So we're housed in pre-college access and TRIO. And our department is actually part of the Enrollment and Retention Management Division at SLU. And our director of our department, which we call PCAT for short, is Mr. William Perkins. He's the Assistant Vice President for Enrollment and Retention. That's one of his many roles, actually. I should say that in addition to that role, he oversees a lot of the summer camps. We really don't have any this year because of the pandemic. But that's a big part of his role. And interestingly enough, he also is manager for the chess team at SLU.
Oh, really?
He has a number of different responsibilities, but he's very passionate about pre-college and TRIO programs. And we have 3 TRIO programs in the department. We have Talent Search. So there are a staff of 3 that are actually in the public schools in St. Louis. And then we have SSS, which was already mentioned, Student Support Services. And I actually worked in Student Support Services at SLU first. I think you mentioned that in your introduction. McNair. We also have a Billiken Success Program, or BSP. And that is for students who wouldn't necessarily have been admitted to SLU through traditional means. But they have a lot of intrusive, holistic advising and support for their freshman year. And as long as they satisfactorily complete that program, then they're able to move on into their sophomore year. So all of these programs are designed to really be part of a larger pipeline and set students up for success. So it's really great to be part of such an amazing department.
Right on. And just still sticking with you, how long has SLU McNair been in existence?
So we actually got our grant for McNair in October of 2017. And it was actually the day after my birthday when I found
Oh, really?
Yeah, that I had been hired for the position. And there was some uncertainty at first as to whether or not we even got the grant, because there was some lag time between when we thought we were going to hear the announcement and when we actually heard the announcement. And I was walking around the track of Simon Rec, our campus recreational center during lunch, when I saw an email over the one of the TRIO listservs that McNair was one of the awardees, and no one in our department knew. So I asked Will, I emailed him and I said, have you seen this? Is this for real? And he's like, let me get back to you. So it was actually interesting how we found out about it, but once it was officially confirmed, apparently there was a mix up with an email that had gone out and it didn't get to him when it was supposed to, so he didn't officially know right away. But once everything was confirmed, it was a really big deal at SLU. There was a write-up about it, and we were very happy. So
wow, that's an amazing birthday gift, and being able to start a TRIO program, that's amazing. And still, what are the main components of SLU McNair, and what services does the program provide?
Sure. So we primarily, I should also say who we really target for those that don't know. So our main goal is to prepare high achieving students who are first gen. We say Pell eligible because we don't like the stigma necessarily that goes with low income, but the Department of Ed classifies them as like low income and underrepresented students. Our students don't necessarily fall into all three of those categories. So we have some students who may be first gen Pell eligible, and we may have some students who are underrepresented only, or some combination of the three. But we ideally want outstanding sophomores and juniors in our program, and the average time for them to be McNair scholars is roughly 2 years. And so during that time, they are matched with a faculty mentor who helps them, hone their research skills or develop their skills if they have yet to conduct any research. They receive academic counseling, one-on-one academic counseling primarily from Anthony, but we all play a role in that. They are able to participate in professional development workshops that are hosted both by staff and then other members of SLU community. When we could travel, we would take the scholars to different conferences so they can either present their research or just network with other scholars in their fields. And we would also take trips to graduate schools, which I think that is going to probably happen virtually over the coming months. And so those are really our main components. Our summer research program, which Anthony can talk about because he's coordinating it, is our big to do. And that is really where it's competitive, actually. Sometimes people think that all of the scholars in our program are able to participate, but out of the 25 to 27 students that we serve each year, only up to 12 can be selected for the summer program. So they actually have to work with their mentors and submit very strong research proposals. And once we select from the pool of students, they spend 8 weeks working on research projects and participating in a number of different activities, which I should probably turn over to Anthony because I don't want to take away from all of the hard work that he's working on this summer. Anthony, did you talk a little bit about it?
Absolutely.
Yes. So this summer, this is new for all of us because of COVID-19. We had to convert our summer research internship to a virtual internship, and it started 2 weeks ago, and today is actually the last day for the second week, and it's actually been going really well so far. We have 6 scholars in our summer research internship, 3 students from St. Louis University, 2 students from Washington University in St. Louis, and then 1 student from Harrisville State University. And it's been going really well. All of our scholars are participating in GRE prep, are attending different weekly seminars and weekly meetings, are working on their independent research along with their faculty mentors. They're getting the chance to network and talk and really get to know one another. Overall, in general, it's been really going good so far, better than what we expected because this is new to us, and I'm pretty sure new to a lot of other McNair summer research internship programs and just summer programs and stuff in general. But we feel like the students have been enjoying it, and we have been enjoying it too as well. So, yeah.
Right on. Anthony, thank you so much for sharing on that. If you don't mind me asking, just a quick follow-up, when you're doing these types of programs, what are some of the outcomes that you're expecting for your students?
Yeah, so one of the biggest ones is we really want to see them grow in their research skills, right? And we also, too, want to see them grow overall as students. So that can involve leadership or learning more things in their particular academic fields and those different kind of areas. But we really want for them to grow more academically, socially, and professionally. We look at our entire program, even including our summer research internship, as a holistic program. We really want to grow the students holistically, right? Mm-hmm. And not just intellectually. So we try to provide all those components and stuff for our scholars.
Right on, right on. Dr. Motley, if you don't mind me asking you a question about, as we were talking about setting up this podcast and kind of conversing back and forth, I found out that your McNair program is very unique in that it serves not just the population at SLU, but that you have other participants.
Yes. So we actually have 6 institutions that we serve altogether. We are the only McNair Scholars Program in St. Louis and the immediate surrounding area. There are about a handful of McNair Scholars Programs in the state of Missouri, but within this particular part of Missouri, we're it. And so we have the unique opportunity of serving students not only at SLU, but we have, of course, Derek here with us from, and I should say, the illustrious Harris-Stowe State University, which is a historically Black institution here in St. Louis, and literally within walking distance of our campus. We also serve Washington University in St. Louis, Fontbonne University, and Fontbonne and WashU are really right there together with each other. Webster University and the University of Missouri, St. Louis. We have yet to have any scholars from UMSL, the latter, but we're working on it. So
it's such a mind-blowing position to be in for McNair, because now you're having to serve not only your institution, but also other institutions. How do you handle that logistically?
Well, it's been easiest probably to serve our Harris-Stowe students because, like I mentioned, they literally can just walk to campus. And I think on a couple of occasions, Derek and some of our other Harris-Stowe scholars have even rode little scooters or like the Lime scooters over to our campus. So it's very convenient for them. I definitely think that now we're using Zoom quite a bit. During this pandemic, we'll be utilizing that a bit more. Previously, we held a lot of programs on campus, and students would actually come to our office for one-on-one meetings, for McNair group events and activities. But the more Anthony and I talked about it, the more we realized that, it wouldn't be fair to always expect scholars from our other institutions to come to us. So we had a couple of alternatives, either to have programming at our different institutions, which is possible, but takes a lot of planning and a lot of travel, or we can utilize technology. So I would say one of the blessings in what's happening right now is that we're learning new ways of serving our students. I know Anthony also conducted some Skype meetings one-on-one with students as well, even before the pandemic hit, which has been very effective.
Yeah. So another question that I have for either for you or Anthony can answer is, it must be a very unique challenge and a way to attract students. I mean, how do you get students to participate? How do you get students to come to your program and be a participant for McNair?
It's a lot of work, and to be truthful, when we first got the grant, I used to have nightmares about what if we don't have any students? Well, how do we? I mean, it was me. I mean, for at least for the first maybe 2 or 3 weeks, it was just me. And I was really trying to figure it out. We've come such a long way since then. We utilize social media. We are on Instagram, which is how I found out about you all, about Let's Talk Trio. We have our individual LinkedIn pages, but we often promote what's going on for McNair that way. We have editorial intern. We just started this with the English department, where it's a partnership, and they provide us with an editorial intern. Our first and only editorial intern so far created testimonial flyers, which we shared with our partner institutions. And he was so savvy that he actually, he used the university colors for each of the universities that we served.
Oh, wow.
Let's have a scholar from those institutions, for the ones we actually have scholars at, to get testimonials from them. So it was very personal. And more recently, Anthony created the ambassadors program for SLU McNair. So he could probably expound on that. That's given our scholars a chance to help spread the word in the student leadership capacity.
Anthony, can you tell us a little bit about the McNair ambassador program?
Right. Yes. So I came up with the idea to create that program mainly because our students was already, out there kind of putting the word out there about McNair and bringing some potential students into our program. So I really wanted to create more of a formal leadership program for our students to participate in. So the McNair Ambassadors program, it's really a two-part program. So our students, they represent the program in all forms. They go out there and recruit and put the word out there on their different social media accounts or partner with different departments and programs at their institution to really spread the word about the McNair Scholars Program in general. And then the other big component of the program is that each McNair ambassador serves as a peer mentor to new incoming McNair scholars and even some of our Gateway to McNair scholars too as well. So that's the other big component where they get to go out there and help us recruit and spread the word, but also too, they get to enhance their leadership skills by being peer mentors to incoming McNair scholars.
Right on. Anthony, I like how you alluded to the Gateway program. I want to throw this question to Sunita, who was mentioned earlier as the coordinator for that. Sunita, can you tell us a little bit about what is the Gateway to McNair Scholars Program and how is it set up?
Sure. So it is really considered as the Gateway to McNair Scholars Program is considered as a pipeline between to McNair. So we usually get students, like first year students or freshmen to apply, or we get students that are still like high achieving upperclassmen, but like were not accepted to the McNair program when they first apply because maybe we're full, like there's no spot available. So then we have them wait through Gateway. So they join Gateway, and then so because a lot of time these students are still a great candidate for McNair, but we just don't have space. So then we have them join Gateway while we wait for space to be available. So those are the students that we target. And then the way it's set up is that we partner them up with, so we try to mirror the McNair Scholars Program. So we partner our scholars with a graduate mentor because we can't do the faculty mentors. So we do graduate mentors, and then we partner them up with, like Anthony said, the peer mentors. And these peer mentors are McNair scholars. And this year, so this year we've had, I guess last year you say, we were privileged enough to have the ambassadors, so the McNair ambassadors be the peer mentors to our scholars. And so then when they come in through Gateway, when it's time for, so when spaces are available for McNair, we look into Gateway first. As we're looking outside too, but we really vet our students in Gateway. So we see Gateway as like that first vetting process for our scholars before going into McNair.
That's amazing. So thank you so much, Dr. Motley, Sunita, and Anthony, for giving us a good overview of the McNair program. Now I'd like to throw this next question to the alum and the students. What attracted you to the McNair program? What drew you?
I guess I can go ahead and start that response.
Thank you, Brandon.
No problem. I don't know so much if it was a attraction more so than it was professors that worked with McNair in the past telling me to go apply now. So more so being shoved into that direction more so than discovering it on my own on the internet or anything. It was actually a meeting that I had with my African American Studies interim mentor at the time, and she was really excited that the program was coming back to SLU because there had been a hiatus of sorts between the one in the past and the one today. And she basically was like, okay, well, you're a really good student and you seem, and being a psychology major, it's like, okay, well, you're probably thinking about graduate school. It's like, yeah, okay, go do this program and see what happens. And I was like, all right, sounds good. And here we are today.
That's amazing. Thank you, Brandon. And it sounds like a good push. I think for a lot of TRIO students, right, that's the initial push of somebody telling you about the program to join it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right on.
So like I said earlier, I'm Derek. Like I said earlier, Anthony and Dr. Motley came to my school and gave a presentation. And what really interested me about that presentation was their biggest goal was to help, I guess, diversify the Ph.D. degree holders in the country. And that was something that was one of my biggest goals overall, is to get a Ph.D. at some point in the future. But I had no idea how to do that. So the fact that McNair had a plan in place, a way to make that Ph.D. a little bit more feasible for someone who is first generation or doesn't see themselves in academia to the degree at which someone who is more represented would see themselves. That kind of just made it more of an obvious choice for me to apply. Like, why wouldn't I take advantage of this thing that's falling into my lap?
Right on, Derek. I like that you said that it's identifying when an opportunity presents itself. I like that.
So I'll go next.
Absolutely.
Being a first-generation student at a PWI, I don't really get to see a lot of people who look like me in higher academia, or teachers who look like me even in my major, which I love all of my teachers dearly. It would just be nice to see more people who look like me being those high degree holders. So when I was given the opportunity to be involved in something like that, I thought, I want to be the change that I want to see. So that's how I really got involved in McNair, because I want to be able to show that first generation student 10, 15, 20 years down the line that nothing is impossible. The only obstacle that you have is yourself and your own self-doubt. So that's how I'm thinking towards the future and towards my own ideas and goals. And that's how that got me involved in McNair.
Hope, I really like how you delineated that and how you really look not only at representation, but at various forms of being able to inspire future generations to look at you for education, right? And to know that it's possible to do it. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Okay, so my attraction to the McNair program is kind of like Derek's, though I didn't find it the exact same way. So I was looking for an opportunity to develop my knowledge, my skills, but more so outside of the classroom. I knew the next step in my education was to pursue a graduate degree, but I wasn't sure exactly how or when I would even get there. So one day I was walking in the hallway and I saw a flyer and it said the McNair program. And at this time it was a brand new program. And it was exactly what I was looking for. It offered potential for research experience. It offered assistance to show me the ropes of how to get into graduate school. It offered connections to students with similar goals. But most importantly, it offered the support that I needed. In the moments that I attended that information session, it just felt right. I was supposed to be there. It would play an integral part of making my dream come to life. And sure enough, it definitely has.
That's awesome. Thank you, Wendy, for sharing.
No problem.
And for another question for the students, and you can chime in at whatever order you all want. What have been your greatest achievements since becoming a McNair Scholar?
All right, y'all, don't hold back. We've got some rock stars.
Okay, I want to jump it off. So, my greatest achievement since becoming a scholar is first and foremost gaining entry into a graduate program. But it wouldn't have been possible without my other greatest achievements, and that includes things like successfully completing the 2 summer research internships and presenting my work at local and national research conferences. So I presented at the Society for Neuroscience annual conference a couple years ago, which is huge. And also the McNair Heartland Conference. But on like a more personal note, I think my greatest accomplishment has been growing into the person that I want to be and persisting despite circumstances that have presented themselves along the way, whether it was like overcoming home life stuff, mental health, or just in general imposter syndrome.
Thank you.
I can echo everything that Wendy just said, but to be more specific, I also am very proud of my involvement in summer internships and how I completed 2 separate research projects, independent research projects alongside my mentors. That's something I'm very proud of. Also, I presented at 13 academic meetings within the span of my 2 years of undergrad. So that was something that at the time while I was doing, I didn't realize it was a huge deal, but everyone around me, whenever I mentioned to them I was going to yet another conference, they were like, another conference? So that was a big deal. But other than that, there was the fact that I won or placed in 3 of them and won first place in 2 of them. And they were both national conferences. So to see my academic achievements being recognized on such a large scale was something that I will never get over. And of course, being admitted into my top Ph.D. program of choice, that's something that also I'm still trying to believe.
It's still kind of a dream come true for you, it sounds like, Derek.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing. And thank you for sharing.
Of course.
So once again, Derek, congratulations on doing everything that you've been doing. Also, congrats on getting into that program at Urbana-Champaign. I saw that on LinkedIn.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I think we might have lost hope. We might reconnect.
We can never lose hope.
Good one, Derek. Good one.
Got to give you that one, Derek.
I keep those in my back pocket just in case.
So while we're waiting for Hope to reconnect, Brandon, would you like to go?
Yeah, sure. So greatest accomplishment. I mean, pretty much just the same as everyone else, I guess. Definitely on the more personal side, just kind of like that growth into the actual role of being a PhD student and being admitted or graduate student in general. And, being able to just overcome a lot of those kind of internal fears, or like Wendy said, the imposter syndrome, definitely. On a academic note, I would say that definitely presenting at Abrahams was definitely the highlight, along with just kind of, that was my independent research that I did over the summer with the summer internship. And then it ended up getting extended into my senior project and all sorts of different things. So just kind of being able to get that independent research in was an amazing achievement for me.
Right on, Brandon. That's awesome. And if I may throw a question out there, what did you learn from that? What was the experience, or what did you get from all that, from that experience?
You mean the experience of just like the summer research internship or, oh, okay. I guess just kind of the in-depthness that research kind of takes. I guess it's like, you know, when you're doing your regular day-to-day kind of like English paper or, any others classes kind of project, you know, it's different than doing an actual like study where you have to get approval from the IRB and all of these other different things. Like the kind of research that you do for a paper in undergrad is definitely different than you're doing for graduate school. So just kind of getting a good feel for like the differences between the work that you'd be doing at the next level was probably one of the more important, I would assume, more important things to kind of understand when getting into this.
I think we have a deeper appreciation for the word research, right? When people throw out the word, hey, do your research, you're like, I know what research entails. I know what that means.
Right, exactly.
So I see that Hope is trying to reconnect, but we can certainly either hold to the question and come back to her, or we can move on. Dr. Motley, what would you like to do?
Let's go ahead and move on, and maybe we can circle back when she's fully on.
Sounds great to me. For the students and for the staff, what has been some of your most memorable moments shared with other scholars or other staff members in the program?
I have to say it's easily traveling to conferences. It's something about getting away from your normal academic setting that kind of exposes a new side to a person, and kind of, as you're exploring a new city together, or you're talking about these different topics that probably wouldn't be relevant in your normal setting, it kind of makes your relationship a little bit more. I remember specifically, like, this was my first conference, and it was right after my presentation, and Dr. Motley was the I guess you would call it a proctor, or the person who is in charge of that specific session. After my presentation, she told me about how well I had done, and what she thought was my secret weapon in presenting, and she said it was my humor. So that was something that really went a long way with me, and I still hold on to that, and something I tried to capitalize on for all of my presentations that followed, and made it more of an enjoyable experience because, hey, she said I did great, so why wouldn't I do great in this one? So it was something that, honestly, I still hold on to. So thanks, Dr. Motley.
My pleasure. And would you care to also talk a little bit about some of the awards that you have won at conferences?
Sure. So I got first place in the Emerging Researchers National Conference. That was the most recent one in February. The one before that was in 2019, I think. It was for the Minority Access National Role Models Conference in Maryland. And then there was one other one, second place, for the Missouri Louis Stokes Minority Participation Conference in Jefferson, Missouri. So, yeah, so a lot of people are really think that I can speak well in front of an audience. Apparently, I can't do that on a 6-person Zoom call.
And Derek, you're doing a fantastic job on a podcast. You're sounding so great. So you're doing great. Yeah.
Yes, you are.
Thank you.
So we just saw Hope just rejoined our conversation. Dr. Motley, would you like me to ask her the question we just covered, or?
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So Hope, we were earlier talking about first the most memorable moment that you've had with McNair. The previous question was also some of your greatest achievements since becoming a scholar at McNair.
So I feel like mine kind of go hand in hand. So meeting my faculty mentor was probably one of the most memorable times I've had, because she was actually one of my teachers. So I actually had to talk to her after class and get to know her, like, as I was prepping for her class and her tests, which was a very interesting dynamic, because I would do really well in our meeting and then I'd turn around and do a test and she'd give me a C. So we would be working both ways. And really having her be one of the best motivators was probably one of my largest achievements, because she doesn't give praise like freely. her telling me, Hope, I want you to present at a bunch of conferences your senior year was something that I felt like I can take pride in myself and the work that I do. So really gaining that confidence was probably one of my greatest achievements so far in McNair.
Wonderful. Who else would like to share their most memorable moment in McNair?
So like the others, my most memorable experience had to include the Mocani McNair conference, but it's not just like any conference. It's an all-exclusive McNair conference, okay? So there is no other feeling in this world comparable to how it feels to be in a room with a group of people who are destined to change the world academically and socially. And I'm super hesitant to say this, but like it was almost a spiritual experience. Like it touched my soul, seeing with my own eyes that I am a part of something bigger than I even realized. Like I think we all felt something similar at the conference. But like another one of my most memorable moments would have to be at the end of the McNair Summer Research Symposium. So there's this feeling of accomplishment after presenting, having your fellow cohort there to support you, but you're also making a contribution to research, and it kind of reminds you why you do what you do and why you would do it over and over again.
Well, I can share from the perspective of a staff member or the director. And I just want to go back to my graduate school days. One of the things that I loved most about being a doctoral student was traveling to conferences. And my mentor, Dr. James D. Anderson, hi, Dr. Anderson, he was really like the coolest mentor out there, because some of the faculty, when we go to conferences, they wanted to play catch up basically with other faculty in their disciplines who are spread out across the country. And that made perfect sense. Like we expected that. But Dr. Anderson, who we call Doc, he wanted to hang out with the students. And he was sort of an anomaly, and he was never the type to say, just spend your whole day in conference sessions. He was like, we're going to schedule time to go sightseeing, or we're going to go someplace neat to eat. And eventually that caught on to where other faculty started doing similar things, or we would get together as a group with the Ph.D. students and faculty. So I will honestly say that I carried that vision and that experience with me, because I remember how wonderful it felt. So to be able now to be on that side, even though I'm not a faculty person per se, but an administrator, and sort of be Doc, be that person for the scholars, is really gratifying. I don't ever want them to see me as one-dimensional. I'm a whole person. I like to joke. I like to eat a lot of different foods and, sightsee and do all of that. And I also want them to feel free to be who they really are, that they don't have to just put themselves in a box and only show the academic or intellectual side of who they are, that they can just show all of who they are and still be very wonderful to be around. So for me, that's just been the best thing, is to be able to travel with the students. I feel like that's also where we do the most bonding as a group. Normally, whoever we travel with, we develop the strongest bonds with, because we see each other in a more holistic light. So It's been a wonderful experience.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, I'm going to jump on and say that I agree with Dr. Jamie and Derek that the traveling has been my most memorable experience being involved with McNair. And I remember last summer when we took our culture trip to New York. That is a trip I will never forget because there was they had a blackout in New York, and we were
oh my gosh.
Yeah. Some people were stuck on the elevator in the hotel. So that's a trip I will never forget. But just like Dr. Jamie said, just creates a time to bond with both the students and the staff. So yeah, I would say the traveling has been memorable.
Right, yeah, and to piggyback off of that, I totally agree too as well. I feel like traveling to the different conferences and the different cultural trips that we have been on so far has been really, really great. Seeing the scholars' faces when they go to the conferences and see that, you know, they're not the only ones. It's a lot of, you know, McNair scholars across the country is really, really good, and seeing them continue to grow as researchers and present their research and stuff at these big national conferences has been really, really good for me. So I agree too as well with the staff and the scholars. The traveling piece is really, really huge for all of us.
Absolutely. Thank you. Anybody else still? Did we get everybody or? All right. I think I'll go on to the next question then for really for the students. Who are your mentors and who have they supported or and how have they supported your development as a scholar?
My mentor is Dr. my McNair mentor is Dr. Leticia Soares. She was only at SLU, and that's how I was connected to her. Actually, through Dr. Motley, she's the one who set that relationship up. Dr. Leticia Soares is an amazing researcher. She studies avian parasites, and I was very interested in wildlife and everything that has to do with wildlife and studying wildlife. And she connected me with mentors across the country, pretty much. Her network became my network, and I feel like that's the biggest thing that a mentor could do is like hand off that network, because that's like it skyrockets you to success in that particular field. So I was connected to other researchers at WashU and even one in Madagascar. So that was an amazing experience.
My mentor is Dr. Mitzi Brommer from St. And she's my ultimate hype man. She's always trying to get me to do something new or really trying to get me to think of things in a new way. And she's always challenging my mind, and there's never a dull moment when we meet. So I'm always learning and I'm always being challenged. And I love that. And it's exactly what I need in order to be a proper scholar, being open to learning at all times and never thinking, oh, I know everything now, because you never really do. And she's really taught me that. So I'm grateful to her for everything that she's done since basically my freshman year almost. So she has seen me through a lot academically and personally, and she's just a wonderful human being and a wonderful teacher and scholar.
It's really amazing when you can connect with a mentor that's able to academically challenge you and have your mind expand in other different directions. Thank you, Hope, for sharing that.
I guess I can go next. My advisor for McNair in both my psychology major through undergrad was Dr. Richard Harvey. I would say that as far as development goes, I feel like for us, it's mostly just kind of our casual conversations about things. One of his favorite questions to ask me during like pretty much every meeting is, what do you want to be when you grow up? As though I'm not already 22, but he pretty much says that it's kind of like, you never really know. I mean, even at, 40 or 50, you're still wanting to do new things and all these other different things. So it's, normal and good to not, have one specific set thing you want to do, because then if you do it, then what's left and all of that. But I'm in his research lab now going into the Ph.D. program since I'm staying at SLU. And, we talk about even just like little ideas for research projects that I have, and I type in my notes on my phone or something when I'm having conversations with other people. And it's like, why does that happen? And I'm just like, ask Dr. Harvey, who's done research on this. And then we talk about that and kind of develop, little research questions here and there, or even just talk about research that's already been done on this and all that other kind of thing. So. Yeah.
Thank you, Brandon. And just a quick follow-up. Have you figured out what you want to do when you grow up?
Oh, man. Dr. Harvey's asked me that for like 2 or 3 years, and I still don't have an answer for him. So I still don't have a specific answer. But, yeah, we will figure it out as we go along. That's what I like say.
I like that.
If I could just add, I know one summer, it might have been our first summer, because that's when Brandon participated as an intern in our summer research program. We had his mentor actually deliver a session. I believe it was that summer. And I remember he asked the question, what is a scholar? And everyone was just looking so perplexed, like, oh my gosh, I should know this. I'm a scholar in the program. I should know this. I think people were really trying to think of this profound, super eloquent response. And he took, I believe it was either a chalkboard or dry erase pen, because I can't remember what the room configuration was like, but he just wrote in all caps, Y-O-U, you. And so everyone was like, oh. So that was something that stayed with me, because, I mean, it was just so real and so true and cut to the heart of what we spend, 1 or 2, sometimes 3 years trying to get the scholars to really accept, is that you are a scholar, in your own right, and there's plenty of opportunity in this program to hone your skills, but you are already, as you are, where you belong, and you're already on the path to either whether you want to get your Ph.D. or whether you want to, work for a firm and do research, you want to do consulting, you want to be a professor, you are already on the path that you belong on because you are a scholar. So I just want to mention that because I thought that was pretty awesome.
Thank you, Dr. Motley.
Brandon. He's nodding, yes.
Did we get to everybody? I want to make sure that everyone was able to share who their mentor, who mentored them through this McNair program.
Okay, I'll go.
Yes, Wendy.
So I've had lots of mentors along the way, but I've had the privilege of having a few exceptional ones. And Dr. Motley and Anthony have always been in my corner from the jump start. And they've always been there providing that support I need from personal conversations. Don't get out the tissues, Dr. J.
I'm good.
Attending my presentation at the Heartland conference, I felt super special because I had both of them there. And I know that's not big, but I needed that so much. But for other mentors, I have research mentors too. And those were Dr. Judith Ogilvie and Dr. Elena Baker-Nye. They're also among the exceptional ones. They support me, just to echo what Hope said, they challenge me academically to be the best scientist I can be. They also help me find my niche in research, which I know is not an easy process, especially when you're a neuroscience major and can't decide if you want to do psychology or biology. But one of the things that I've noticed about all the mentors is that they go above and beyond for their students. They have this genuine concern. They're willing to advocate for our development. They're really invested in our successes. And we, as scholars who have amazing mentors, feel that we need to strive to be the best we can be, not just as students or scientists, but community members and people in general. And then another thing, the last thing I want to mention, is that they taught us the importance of learning how to network, not just with people in the science community, but people all over. So that would echo Derek's. So yeah, I agree with all y'all.
Thank you, Wendy, for sharing that. And Sunita, I want to get to you because pre-podcast, we were talking about how you reach out to your community and you do a lot of mentorship work. Can you tell us your experience of being a mentor?
Sure. So before everyone came on here, I was 30 minutes early, by the way.
Wow.
So we were just chit-chatting. So that's what this is coming from. And I was trying to get away, but then the conversation kept going. So I stayed until everyone came on.
That's funny.
Yes, can you repeat the question again?
Oh, no. Going back to what we were talking about pre-show was you reach out to your community and you have that type of mentorship with a lot of your students and you see them go on and start graduating, or you're seeing them go on and doing their thing. From a mentorship perspective or a mentor's perspective, how do you cultivate that, and how does that work out as you help graduate students go into that direction, into their path?
Well, I guess for me is to echo everything that everyone had said in regards to their mentor. I guess for me, I think like we were talking to, it means a lot for someone to take an interest in me and want to invest in me. So I guess I approach each and every one of my mentees outside of what I do for work outside of McNair with that same mindset. And so when I bring it into McNair, even though I'm not a mentor to any of our scholars, right, I would like to think like I mentor behind the scene, right, as I talk to Dr. Jamie and Anthony. So even though I don't do one-on-one mentoring with them, I have each and every one of their best interests at heart as well. So that's the same thing I do with my with my students outside of McNair, outside of McNair. And just to echo what everyone has said too, I was a younger Sunita, and people invested in me. People are still investing in me. And to echo what Wendy said, Dr. Jamie is one of those people that I know this lady I never met. I just applied for a job. I thought she was, I thought I screwed it up. Like, man, and like she said, I was in Senegal when I was being interviewed, and I was like, man, I called my friend and I said, I think I messed it up. So when I got a second interview, I was like, well. And I got a second interview, like literally, I got off the plane the next day. I was interviewing the second time. So I think I sold her over the second time around. But she has been a friend. She has been a mentor, and she's been part of my community now. Like in terms of like when the saying that they say that it takes a village. So she's been part of my village, and I've appreciated that. So just knowing that this is a person I've never met before and have taken an interest in me, and that's how I go about it, because she reminded me of me. So to answer your question, it's all about what have people done for me, and also what would I want others to do for me, and that's how I approach mentoring.
Thank you, Sunita. And I'm going to actually ask that same question to Anthony and to Dr. Motley. How do you all cultivate that relationship with students to mentor them and guide them?
For me, it's very organic. I agree with something Wendy said earlier about there is a spiritual component. I've never really approached any position I've had where I've served students just from a rules and regulations standpoint. I always try to meet heart to heart and soul to soul. And the thing is that, it is a very reciprocal situation, so that if I'm opening my heart and my soul to a student and they're not ready to receive that or don't want to interact with me in that way, I have to be respectful of that. But for students who are open to receive it or even need that, there's just this organic connection. It's amazing how a student could come in my office with a quick question, and 2 hours later we're talking about life and our journeys and what it all means. And, those moments happen because we both allow them to happen. We make room for that. And I think it really starts from me, just letting students know that I see them, or I want to see them beyond just the student that they are at this moment in time, which is going to pass. They're going to go on and they won't be in school forever, at least not as students. They won't be this age forever. They're going to get older. Life's going to happen, and so I can a lot of times look at a student and sort of see aspects of who they may end up becoming in the future. And that makes my work more gratifying than sitting behind a desk and just going over rules and regulations. And it gets deep sometimes. It gets really deep. I mean, when I was an advisor for student support services, I replaced a advisor who was just really beloved by all her students. And I probably spent the first year of that job running down the hall getting Kleenex because the students didn't know that she was retiring. And they had connected with her so deeply that, you know, they were heartbroken. And I was just like, wow, I've always had this connection with students. And right now I feel like I'm sort of just that person to break the bad news and get tissue. So when I was able to finally start meeting students who were just coming to SLU for the first time and wanting to see who was in their corner, or students, you know, who had transferred and really wanted to see, you know, who cares about me as a person, not just my grades or my major, but me, then that really opened up an opportunity for me to form, you know, those kinds of relationships. And so I just consider it for me to be a very spiritual situation, and probably working at a Jesuit institution helps a little bit because, you know, we welcome all faiths at SLU, but there's a certain element of comfort with talking about spirituality that you don't necessarily find at a lot of other institutions. And so I feel like I can go a little deeper with students who, like I said, who are ready to receive that and have those conversations.
Well, Dr. Motley, just for the record and for our audience, you're getting a lot of heart reacts on the chat and people really just loving what you're saying. Anthony, I'm going to throw it to you and ask you the same question. How do you build that mentorship relationship with students?
For me, it's really easy, and I really enjoy it. I feel like the main reason I enjoy it is because when I was undergrad, I didn't really have a lot of mentorship. I really wasn't involved until later on in my undergraduate career, right? So I learned a lot, and I knew going to graduate school was going to be my second chance of really being able to be more involved on campus, and also to seek the mentorship that I need in order for me to accomplish my goals. So since I went through that and learned a lot from that experience in undergrad, I make it my duty and calling to provide as much important information to my scholars to be able to help them to get to where it is they want to get to, so they don't have to necessarily go through some of the things I had to go through. So I love providing the mentorship and stuff to them, especially in regards to networking. They know that I'm big on that and how much I push that and all that good stuff. So I enjoy doing it all the time.
Thank you, Anthony. So I'm going to pivot now and ask this question to the students, kind of veering a little bit, but what impact has COVID-19 pandemic had on your academic experience? How has this either shifted or impacted you on a wider scale?
There we go, shaking your head.
I see a lot of students are kind of shaking their head, nodding their head, going, oh my gosh.
It ruined everything, Juan. It ruined everything. You know how you make a plan at the beginning of like the semester? Like, okay, by this month I should have this done, and then I'll be prepared to take on this new opportunity, and I can apply for this position. It ruined everything. So,
oh no.
So, yeah, over the course of my undergrad, I had already like taken on and almost finished two research internships, one through McNair and one through the NIH. And they were almost done. I just had a few more tests to run, a few more analyses to make, a few more data points to put into our, but I wasn't able to do it because the labs had shut down. It wasn't feasible to do anything that I had planned to do. So that's the research side. But on a school level, I'm sure everyone else will be on the same page, is that graduation was canceled. This was supposed to be my time. I was supposed to shine, but it's fine. It'll work out in the end. I'm sure it'll be okay. There's always my Ph.D. graduation. So,
Right there, right on. And I like Wendy, what she's saying on the chat is you have been shining, Derek, and just wanted to express that. And that you're definitely right. We want to validate all your experiences, because we don't want to just say, oh, it happened. It's like, forget everything else, you're definitely validated in all your hard work that's been you've been doing. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Of course, I appreciate it.
What about for everyone else? How has COVID impacted you?
Yeah, I'm going to go and say I fully agree with Derek on that. Just totally threw everything off. I was living on campus this last semester, so like having to get basically like kicked out of the dorms and the apartments with everyone else, just right at the end of spring break, and it was just like, all right, everybody go get your stuff, get out. It was. I mean, it wasn't that harsh, but it was just like the urgency there, and it was just like, okay, wow. And then adjusting to living back at home was, a process mentally, just kind of like, okay, I can't just go to the library or go to the lab or whatever to study. I have to like do it in my house. And it's like, I haven't had to do that in years. And, trying to actually physically separate yourself out of space to work and mentally kind of separate yourself out from like, okay, I have family responsibilities again and, work, or if, for those of us who were able to telecommute to work and things of that nature. So it was just kind of like, it just kind of felt like every day was just one big blur of responsibilities vaguely, but, we persist and like, what Wendy's saying right now, we get through it and we're adjusting as we need to. And hopefully it's better in the fall. I mean, life is unpredictable, so we'll just have to keep adjusting.
Absolutely. I think it really speaks to the theme of TRIO students and how persistent and how adjustable a majority of those students are, right? And how you all continue persisting and continue going, no matter the challenges that present themselves. You're like, you know what, this is another thing. We're just going to adjust to it. And I know that for a lot of students at CSU and for all over the country, it was kind of a shock, right? Going, now we have to go home and now we have to study at home and having that discrepancy of like, now I have to look at my home as an academic place and not this place of being at home and not making it too homey. So thank you so much, Brandon and Derek, for sharing your experiences. I do want to get to other students who want to share those experiences of COVID-19. What was that experience like and how did you adjust?
It ruined a lot for me. I had all these plans. I was supposed to go on a road trip with friends to go see graduate schools. We were supposed to go spend a week up in New York and Wisconsin and Arizona. And now we can't even leave our houses anymore. So there was a time of like depression because all of a sudden all my plans, all my friends, my entire routine, of course, like my mental health kind of took a hit at first, but then I kind of had to like climb myself up and realize this is the new reality. And of course, in the beginning, I didn't think it was going to be this long. I thought, oh, it's going to be fine. We'll be back in school so I can go see everyone graduate. I was wrong. I was very wrong.
You have a lot of your peers agreeing with you.
I feel like it's really taught me a lesson in patience. It's taught me a lot about hope and what it means to have faith in the future and faith in humanity, i.e. making people wear their masks when I see them. But I think that there's always a silver lining around a storm cloud, and we just need to find that. Mm-hmm. But working at home has really that's been the hard part because I can literally work in my bed. So what happens is I watch Netflix instead. I'm like, oh, it's fine. I'll just watch an episode. I promise.
I so relate, Hope, because I feel like once I get started with my own work and then I start slipping into something else like Netflix or Disney Plus or anything else that's grabbing my attention at the moment.
So yeah, that's kind of been concentration has been the name of the game, and I'm still working on it. So hopefully by the time this next semester comes up, we shall be better at it.
Right on. Thank you, Hope.
Yeah.
So I entirely got missed by the COVID pandemic because I graduated in fall 2019. So I'm super hopeful for that, or not hopeful. I'm super grateful for that. But I do empathize with my fellow scholars that it sucks. It really does. But like I said before, like we've been doing this our whole lives. It's not nothing new, and COVID don't have nothing on TRIOs.
Absolutely. Agreed 100%. Thank you, Wendy. And now for the staff, COVID-19, how has that impacted you and your work?
It's been eye-opening. I joke with my husband all the time. Well, now we're finally office mates. We actually work together. We share a suite. Sometimes we have Zooms at the same time, and it's like, I'm Zooming, and then also really being respectful of each other's time. It's easy to feel when you're at home, like, well, I can just go in the other room and ask my husband questions and he's good because we're home, and he might be in deep thought trying to work on a project. He's actually, he's a Ph.D. candidate at one of the schools we serve, Washington University in St. Louis. So he's working on his dissertation. So that is not an easy process. I know I've been through it. And I think just by virtue of us being here together, sometimes I have to remind myself to be mindful of how stressful that can be. And it's the same thing with him and all the things that I have to do. So that and just technology, I like Zoom, but we talk about, my team and I, we talk a lot about how sometimes we just feel zoomed out. We have Zoom after Zoom after Zoom, and no matter how much you try to spruce them up and keep things lively, you can feel depleted. And you also could be trying to do multiple things at once that you wouldn't necessarily be doing if you were at work, like the laundry or waiting for Amazon to deliver a rug, which happened to me in the middle of a staff meeting one time that I was hosting. So these things happen, but the beauty of it is it's happening to all of us. And so I think we all try to be as patient as possible when, we were interviewing a prospective scholar, and her dog just got tired of waiting. She had 2 dogs playing in the background, and finally one just got in her lap and just looked into the camera, and we just fell out laughing because, this is real life. Real life stuff is happening. So
absolutely,
because we're all in it together, we just push through it together.
Well, as you'll probably notice, my kids have been coming in and out. My son will just put his head on my shoulder, just letting me know he's like, "Hey, I'm getting bored." So I absolutely understand the whole Zoom exhaustion. Yep. Anthony or Sunita?
Yeah, so I would say that I agree with Dr. Jamie, and I agree with you. It has definitely been an adjustment being home, because it's like trying to motivate yourself too. And Dr. Jamie follows me on Instagram. Well, SLU McNair follows me on Instagram, and we the 3 of us manage SLU McNair. So she sees that I've been baking a lot and cooking a lot, and it's just like, I'm just, like she said, you get zoomed out. And I used to love watching Netflix. Now I don't, because I'm always like in front of the computer and my eyes start hurting. So I need to do something. So now I'm exercising more because I just need something to do to procrastinate. I need a new form of procrastination. It used to be Netflix. Now I need something else. So I've been cooking.
Yes, and Sunita also got me to accept a challenge with our Apple Watches, so we compete against each other to see who can close their rings. I told her I need a break for a few weeks, but she suckered me into that. So
it has definitely been an adjustment, and I kind of miss what we used to have, just being able to go, like, separating work from home. I would say, like, it's been hard to separate home life now from work life, just because you're doing it all here at home. So
yeah. So for me, COVID-19, it really hit us strong in the United States, like in the middle of me coordinating the summer research internship. Mm-hmm. So as a team, we had to really kind of come together and talk about, how we want to move forward. And we knew that we wanted our scholars to still have a summer research experience, even if that was going to be a virtual experience. So we got together to really be able to put that all together. At first, when COVID-19 happened, I was a little bit upset because I was really looking forward to, the residential summer research and internship and having the students on campus and going on different trips and different kind of things like that and stuff with them and being able to see them in person over the summer. But as the months and stuff went by, I wanted to, still make sure that the students' summer research experience was really, really still good. So, so far, everything has been going really, really well. But COVID-19 did have a really big impact in the beginning, and I can allude to everybody else being in 1,000 Zoom meetings weekly and all those different kind of things and stuff like that. But I've been trying to look at the bright side of it instead of the downside. But I know we all can't wait to be able to get back on campus and things somewhat go back to normal. I know things won't probably ever go back to normal, but at least somewhat. Yeah.
Thank you, Anthony, for sharing that. Going on to the next question, for those of you who have been admitted to a graduate program or looking forward to the program that you're going into, can you tell us a little bit about the program or institution that you're headed to this fall?
Sure, I can go first. I'm going into the Ecology, Evolution, and Conservation Biology program at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. I'll be working in the lab of Dr. Brian Allen, who's a vector disease ecologist, and he studies like Lyme disease and Zika virus, those sorts of things, diseases transmitted by ticks and mosquitoes. And so this program, it really focuses on ecology, evolution, and conservation biology, like what it sounds like. And hopefully I'll have a chance to really get down and dirty with my deeply rooted interest in wildlife disease ecology, studying tick-borne illnesses and how they're transmitted from ticks to wildlife hosts. So that's something that I'm really interested and eager to delve into.
Thank you, Derek.
Who's next?
Okay, Wendy's just told me to go, so I'm going to go. I will be joining into the social psychology program at St. Louis University, so I'm going to be a Billiken for about a decade, so that'll be fun. Seriously though, it'll be a great time. And essentially, the program, well, the actual program is the experimental psychology program with a concentration in social psychology. So that's also including everything except cognitive and industrial organizational psych. So everything else is pretty much underneath the experimental side. My concentration will be social psychology. So kind of like, why do groups of people do what they do and all of that kind of stuff. And specifically, I'm looking forward to researching kind of like digital socialization. So like why everyone on the internet is so angry and mean sometimes, and how do we make that a little better? Like, how do we make Twitter, better? I don't know. It's all that kind of stuff where it's like, wow, this is here. We need to learn how to use it better and more effectively and all that good stuff.
And that sounds like very interesting research, to delve into social media platforms and figuring out how people interact and use those tools to either promote education or to open minds up, or how sometimes those reinforce stereotypes or other types of things. So Brandon, that's pretty awesome.
Thanks.
Who else would like to go? Wendy.
All right, so I'm going to be pursuing a Master's of Biology at SLU. Like Brandon, I'm going to be a Billiken round 2. So shameless plug here. It's one of the only fully funded science master's programs in the nation. There's super interesting, diverse projects going on in the department. So it's a biology department, but I'm a neuroscience major. So though it technically is biology, it's also neuroscience too.
Oh, interesting.
So some of the things they're doing, a project that I've been working on for the past couple years with retinal circuitry. There's some electrophysiology with snails, some yeast genomics, and a bunch of other stuff. What I really like about it is that there's a combination of different approaches being taken on science, which is really excited if you're looking like to collaborate with other scientists from specialized backgrounds to like gain experience in a wide array of skills from like computational to translational methodologies.
Thank you, Wendy.
You're welcome.
So I'm a rising senior, so I'm not going into grad school in the fall, but I am currently looking at graduate programs, and I'm really excited to see which ones will accept me. So that's where I'm at right now.
Right on. Thank you, Hope. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the next question then. What, for the students and for really the staff, if you want to jump in on this one, what advice would you give to first-generation underrepresented college students who don't believe they could ever accomplish half of what you've accomplished and are hesitant to apply to the McNair Scholars Program?
I want to go first. I'm excited about this one. Okay, so I would tell them, like, I was once in your shoes and felt the exact same way. Like, don't let yourself be your own worst enemy. Take initiative, find as many opportunities as you can, apply for that scholarship, find resources, give back to the community that helped created you, but more importantly, build a support system as early as you can, and don't be deterred if it takes a little while to find your people, because not everyone is going to be for you, but if you are for you, then you're already one step ahead.
Wendy, that is some great advice. Do you want to popcorn over to whoever you want to?
Oh yeah, I'm all about this call.
Yes,
out.
Let's do it.
All right, Hope, let's get
it. So I think that one of the first things I would say is a closed mouth doesn't get fed. If you're quiet and you don't speak up for yourself, if you don't advocate for yourself, how can you expect someone else to be a mind reader and do it for you? And don't be scared. There's no point in being scared. If you don't get it, then you don't get it. Move on. So just keep on pushing forward, working hard. And it seems like a lot in the beginning to be a first generation student. I felt the exact same way. I felt like, oh, this is so much work. I'm tired all the time. I'm studying all the time. Will this even pay off? And it does. It really does. So keep persevering, keep working hard, and always remember to take care of yourself. A burnt out body is no good for nobody.
Wonderful advice, Hope. Who would you like to popcorn to next?
Derek, let's go.
Wow, that was some really great advice from both of you. I wonder where you guys were when I was looking for things, because I definitely need to hear both of those things. Wow. But yeah, so I can totally echo everything you just said, and you guys pretty much covered everything. But I would just say yes to everything. I feel like a lot of my peers say no to certain opportunities because they feel like they don't have time, and that's permissible to a point. Like if you don't want to take on too much for yourself, you should know your limits, but don't turn down something because of laziness or just disinterest, because you don't know if that thing may interest you. You don't know all that it has to offer. There's always some inherent value in every opportunity. So say yes. But then as soon as you start getting burned out, say no.
I like that. Who would you like to popcorn to over, Derek?
Brandon, of course.
Geez. I don't really know what to say, since everyone else's advice was really good. I would say probably just be ready to be tired sometimes. But just try to know the difference between, a tired where it's okay, I just need a day or a few hours of a break, and I am legitimately burnt out and I need to like slow down and reduce my commitments. I mean, I guess it's just kind of like, I feel like a lot of people, it's like, you're either really afraid or you're, really gung ho about everything to the point where it's like you jump into too much accidentally. So just realizing when you're drowning a little bit, like it's okay to pull back to the 4 feet level of the pool. It's totally okay. Take it at your own pace. Do what you can, but still get some sleep and, make time for non-work things. So, yeah.
That's really good advice. Really good advice all around from everyone. How about staff? Any advice that you would give to students that are coming up or are wanting to get into the McNair program?
I always encourage transparency. I've been fortunate in that throughout my career, there have been a lot of professionals who didn't just share their success stories, but also shared their setbacks, their perceived failures, times when it looked like their goals were just never going to come to fruition. And so I've modeled that by sharing my own story, my own twists and turns with students. I never feel like I have to put up this facade like, I have arrived. Because at the end of the day, we've all been through something. We've all, I would say just about everyone has struggled with self-doubt. We talk about imposter syndrome a lot. There are a lot of faculty, staff, and other professionals walking around who still deal with this day after day and feeling like, they're good enough and they're steadily accomplishing. But even though the world may applaud them, they don't necessarily feel inside like, they're really that successful. And so within McNair, I've tried to open up dialogue for us to talk about these kinds of things. So it's not so much really saying that you can do this, just face your fears or whatever. I mean, we do have those conversations, but just kind of telling our story. And sometimes we'll do it during informational sessions or we're trying to draw students to the programs. I think the more you can be transparent, the more students can feel connected, like, okay, I could see myself being around them. Whereas I think if we were all just putting up this front, like we had it all together, not as many students would want to apply to the program because they just wouldn't feel like they could relate to us. So that's for me, just creating that space of transparency and telling my story, which has been far from perfect, lots of twists and turns and ups and downs, and but it's also the reason why I'm here in this role today. So there's nothing wrong with just telling the truth.
Thank you, Dr. Motley. Sunita or Anthony?
I would say that I mean, everyone took everything that I was thinking about. But no, I echo each and every one of you. And I would say be true to yourself. If I think someone else already said that, but I will say that again, that be true to yourself and know where you're going. And don't forget where you came from.
Good advice.
And I really just piggyback off what everybody said. Everybody said some really good things, and I agree with all those things for sure.
Thank you, Anthony. So I'm going now to pivot to Dr. Motley. What has been the most rewarding aspect of being the director for the SLU McNair program?
Yeah, so I think I touched on it a little bit before, but didn't go into as much detail. A lot of times when you're in a leadership role or you move into a leadership role, you inherit a staff, and I did not. Brandon had mentioned that there was a McNair Scholars Program at SLU some years ago, and we don't know all the details because it preceded everybody that's on the Zoom. So all we know is that the program was not refunded. And so there were a few years there without a SLU McNair, and it really made us doubtful in our department that when we applied for the grant that we would even get it. So that also added to that element of surprise when I'm walking around the track of the gym, like, oh my gosh, is this real? So to go from that and sort of really having a period of uncertainty, then feeling like there's this dark cloud, because of what happened in the past. And there were people that didn't know me, had never heard of me, and was like, who is she? They were very much tied to the previous administration. Working with partner institutions, I remember having a conversation with a very high-profile administrator at Harrisville, Dr. Tommy Turner, and she came to one of our information sessions, and she kind of was looking at me and Anthony sort of side-eyed because she really wanted to make sure that we were going to take care of her scholars, her students.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of it was building trust, was pushing through the maybe doubts not only that I had within myself, maybe that other people had of me and of our program, coming up with that first application, hiring Anthony, just really being able to build from the foundation. The grant was like my blueprint, but to sit here today and look at all these wonderful faces and know everything that's been accomplished has been amazing. It's also been truly gratifying to me. I started off my career as the quote unquote baby. And now I'm the elder, and I'm probably telling on myself, but I've got everybody. Well, I'm not sure about you, Juan, but among my crew, I've got everybody by at least 20 something years. And so to have a young staff that walk the talk, both Sunita and Anthony are working on their doctorates. They're excellent role models. I can see them really stepping into leadership and just blossoming in their roles. To look at the scholars, some of whom didn't even want to get up in front of a podium and speak, and have gone on and accomplished amazing things. I've seen them present at conference. I've heard them present. It's just been so gratifying. And all of this has happened within the span of 2.5. Well, it's coming up on 3 years now. So it has not been a long time, but there's just been so many wonderful things that have taken place. And this has truly, truly been rewarding for me.
Thank you, Dr. Motley. I'm going to pivot now to Anthony. Anthony, I did a little bit of research on you. I saw your website. I looked into your LinkedIn a little bit. And you've had a great career in academics so far, and you've done research on educational impacts of TRIO. What areas interest you the most in higher education?
Yeah, so I like any type of work that focuses on diversity, equity, inclusion. I'm really centered around that. But I'm really a big advocate for Black males in higher education, right? So my dissertation is looking at the academic and social experiences of first generation Black male McNair scholars during their first year doctoral study at predominantly white institutions. And what really got me interested in that work is working in McNair as one, but also two, being a Black male in a doctoral program. So if you look at the data over the last 10 years from the National Science Foundation on the survey on earned doctorates, Black males have earned the least amount of doctorates when compared to their white, Asian, and other counterparts, and even including Black women. So there's not a lot of Black male doctoral students overall in general. And also, too, when you look at the research done on McNair Scholars Programs, over 2/3 of the McNair participants are women. So there's a really, really small population of males overall in general, and even a smaller population of Black male McNair scholars. And a lot of the work that's done on Black males throughout the educational pipeline and system really uses a deficit kind of framework. And my research will use a anti-deficit framework. I really want to, highlight all of these great, first generation Black male McNair scholars that are now in doctoral programs across the country, and really talk about their experiences with their faculty mentors, their experiences with their peers, their university community, and then also to their perception of their professional identity. Because when you look at society now with everything that's going on with police brutality. When you look at how Black males are portrayed and on TV and society, they're either looked at as athletes, thugs, not that much interested in education when compared to their counterparts. So I really want to show that the other side in my research, and as I continue to grow, grow in my career. And lastly, I just want to highlight some of our Black male McNair scholars that have recently graduated in our program, right? So we have had 6 Black male McNair scholars graduate between 2019 and 2020. And out of the 6, 5 of them are going straight on to graduate school. 2 of them are in master's programs. 2 of them will be in doctorate programs this fall, and both of them are on this call right now. And one of them is actually going to get his JD. So I really want to highlight that because we don't hear a lot about that when it comes to Black males. But I was excited to see that when I looked at our data, to know that we have 5 Black males within the past 2 years go straight on to graduate school and are in master's and Ph.D. programs across the country. So that's really exciting for me and our program in general.
Anthony, thank you so much for sharing that and for talking to us about the research that you really want to delve into and continue exploring. I appreciate that. And then, for Sunita, what was the motivation behind you going into McNair, specifically at SLU?
All right. So to be honest, first was the assistantship, right? Who doesn't need help with college tuition? And that's what McNair did for me, right? So I'm forever grateful because of McNair, I was able to finish my master's with less loans than I would have finished with. So I'm grateful for that. So that was the first motivation. But then I didn't know much about McNair. I heard of TRIO, but was not very familiar with that. So I didn't know much about McNair. But when I was told about the position, I went and did some research. And so I read on it a little. And I was like, man, how come why wasn't this presented to me when I was in college? And then I realized that, no, Sunita, because you went to a PWI and they didn't have that. Right. So it's like, okay, well, it would have been nice because everything that we're doing for our scholars here, I had to learn it on my own and I did it for myself. And so the road was pretty tough for me going on to graduate school right after college because I didn't have, the guidance that our scholars have. So that alone motivated me to want to work for McNair because when my mentor presented the position to me, she said, check it out and see if this is something you want to do. So of course the financial component was huge for both of us because she's been looking, like I told you before this recording started, like she has been an advocate for me. So she's like, we need to pay for your master's program. And SLU wasn't giving me enough money. So that financial piece was huge. But then she said, however, look and see if this is something you want to do. Because yes, the financial piece is there, but what are you benefiting from it apart from that? Yeah. And then I realized that, okay, I want to do this. I'm going to email Dr. Motley. I want to get involved because this is what I had to do for myself. And that's what I feel like I've had this experience and I had to I had to teach myself all these things. And that's what this program is doing for these scholars. And also I saw that this was an opportunity for me to also learn from people that have had experience, from Dr. Motley and Anthony. It's like, this is an opportunity for me to learn from them as well. And being the graduate assistant, I have learned so much like management skill set. And I know in public health, people tend to think like, oh, it's all like health focused, but there's a huge management component to public health. So that's been a blessing. Yeah.
Thank you, Sunita. So now I'm going to ask this question, and sorry, staff, this is going to cause you to be quiet for a while. I'm so sorry. I apologize. But for the students, I wanted to ask you, what was your most challenging or what was an obstacle for you either before McNair or during McNair? and we can popcorn this if you want.
I'll go first. I definitely think it was public speaking for me. It's something that I definitely dreaded all my life. But the way that McNair kind of forced me out of that was through the McNair Symposium, the end of summer McNair Symposium. And you know how my philosophy is to say yes to everything. Dr. Motley came to me with the opportunity to give like a speech at the symposium about my experience and what McNair meant to me, that sort of thing. And yeah, so I said yes as soon as she offered it to me. And I was like, yeah, I'll be able to do this. This seems like a thing I'll be able to do. But come the day of the symposium, the morning, I should say, and I went straight to her office. I was like, Dr. Motley, I don't think I can do this. I haven't actually written this speech. I was stressing about it. I wasn't able to think about anything. I'm just so nervous. And she was like, Derek, we already printed out the program sheets. Your name is already on there. There's no going back. I was really expecting some sort of sympathy, like, you know, I get it. You're not ready. No, she was like, you gotta do it. We're not wasting that much paper. So here we are, the day of the symposium, and they call my name up there to do the speech. I had jotted down a few things onto my smartphone, a few bullet points, and I spoke off the cuff about my true, honest feelings. And behold, I pulled it off. It was actually a pretty good speech. If I don't say so myself, I kind of killed that speech.
Nice.
And yeah, so after I jumped at every opportunity to give some public speaking, whether it be a conference presentation or talking to a group of students about academic opportunities in my department at school. And yeah, so it's something that I'll never take for granted again, is the ability to speak to a group of people and change their perceptions about a specific topic. So it's something that I hope to continue throughout my academic career, and something I want to help other people adopt as well.
Absolutely. And Dr. Motley, if you have a copy of that speech, we'd love to have a copy of that.
That was a missed opportunity. Sorry, we didn't record it, but he was amazing. I can attest to that.
Right on. All right, Derek, who would you like to see go next?
Let's go, Brandon. He's been eyeing me this whole time, so I'm just going to go in.
Wow. Okay. As far as a challenge, I feel like my biggest one was definitely going into an entire research project without having worked in anyone's lab ever before. It's literally just kind of like that initial jumping point kind of thing when you're on the diving board, and it's like, you know, if you want to do this, you got to jump in the pool eventually. But, you know, those moments where you actually have to jump in the pool are really scary. Like that, I don't know, there's a video of like some kid somewhere on the internet, and it's like he's trying to learn how to dive into a pool, and he literally starts shaking on the diving board, and, you know, and all of that. So that was pretty much what that was for me. But then it was just kind of just like Derek. I mean, it's like, you know, you got in, you got the thing, you got to do it, you know. You're gonna move into the dorm during the summer on this day, so you're already in it, you know. Just go for it and make the best of it. And as far as support was concerned, I mean, it wasn't like, you know, it wasn't like as though the McNair staff were just like, all right, well, you know, that's too bad, just move in and do it, you know. But it was, you know, definitely very warm and much more tender than that, and much more supportive than that. And, you know, just being able to go to Dr. Motley, to Anthony, and to, you know, my own mentor, and just kind of everyone else that was there, and be like, you know, hey, I'm afraid of what we're doing, and I am scared, and I am really nervous about getting IRB approval. Like, oh my God, a board of someone is going to judge what I'm doing and everything else. And it was just kind of like, it's okay. You're going to do fine, because, you know, you can get through it on, you know, and it was great, and it ended up being great. So I can also say that Derek's speech was absolutely hilarious that day. Unfortunately, I did not a recorded version of it.
Thank you, Brandon. Who would you like to popcorn over to?
Let's go with Wendy. I got to get you back. I got to do it. Sorry.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, so here comes imposter syndrome again. Like Dr. Motley said, like, people deal with this their whole lives. It never goes away. You just kind of get better at dealing with it, right? So there was a time in the beginning and even throughout the program that I didn't feel worthy of being a scholar. Like, I didn't think I was smart enough, that I was experienced enough. But to be honest, what really got me through it was that first piece of information that you never really get through it. And just talking with my fellow cohorts,
You're good.
And support staff, they like just made me realize and gain assurance that time and time again that we have what it takes. And it's just part of the process of becoming something great, and just to, essentially just trust the process.
I like that. Very good. Thank you very much, Wendy.
You're welcome.
And now we have Hope. We'd like to get you free.
Yep. So before McNair, I was battling homelessness. And I remember I was starting school, my college career, in a hotel room that I had to share with my mom and my younger sister, which we all wanted our own space so badly. And I remember like having a home for the first time and being able to say, well, let's go to my house, and having my own bed, having my own door, having a bathroom that worked, kind of. So getting over that was probably one of the hardest parts before McNair. And then after McNair, it was kind of like, as Wendy said, getting over imposter syndrome, because I genuinely felt like, who's going to want to listen to research from some poor Black girl? Or I don't think I can do this because everyone is so much smarter than I. And I've kind of gotten over that to where I'm a lot more confident, to where I will voice my opinions in my research. Like, you will hear me speak. You may not like it, but you will. And I'm kind of working on it bit by bit, and my confidence is growing in my research. And I'm just so blessed to have such a wonderful support system at home, and with Dr. Motley and Anthony and Sunita, and being able to say that I worked alongside these wonderful other students that are going on to such wonderful things. So I'm blessed, to put it simply.
Thank you, Hope. And I'm gonna have you hold on, because I'm gonna ask you this question, and then I'll popcorn it out to the group. So I'm saying you'll go first on this question. What makes SLU McNair unique to you personally?
I feel that SLU McNair pushes you. Like, as Derek said, they aren't gonna hand feed you your opportunities. They expect you to advocate for yourself and to learn how to advocate for yourself. And I can speak from experience, it's not easy, especially like when you're in a room and you're the only person of color. You really gotta build up those confidence skills, and they teach you that. They're willing to work with you. And eventually, like, they take the tricycle wheels off and they push you on the bike. And I feel like that's something that I've never seen in a program before. The way that they want you to grow, the plans that they have for you, the expectations, especially that they have for you, is just something that I've never seen before. And I'm just so grateful that I get to learn from such awesome, awesome individuals.
Thank you, Hope. Who would you like to throw it over to?
Brandon.
I'm just always the first popcorn. I would say that for me, I definitely think that the fact that our McNair program services so many different schools is probably at least for me, it's one of the stronger points, because of the fact that you get so many different perspectives from, other schools versus other schools in the other programs in the country that focus specifically on one school. I would say that the mixing and mattering of folks from, Harris Stowe and SLU and Wash U and Fontbonne and, eventually UMSL, just overall make the program that much better. Just because of the fact that you have all of the different schools' cultures as well within that main cohort of McNair scholars. So it's not just, Billiken McNair scholars or, any one specific group, but you're getting that different perspective overall from the entire St. Louis area, which is really great.
Thank you, Brandon.
No problem.
Who do you want to throw it over to?
Let's go with Derek, because he's shaking his head no.
I felt that one coming. I think what makes us unique, well, they pretty much took what I was going to say, but I feel like I thought about it a little bit more as he was speaking, and I was like, what makes us unique is our staff. We got Sunita, we got Anthony, and we got Dr. Motley. Our staff is what makes us unique. These people are so different altogether. Like, they come up with a plan and they implement it. They don't shy away from, from adverse. I don't know the exact word I'm trying to use here, but they don't shy away from something that would otherwise put people into fear and not letting them go for these huge opportunities. So like the McNair Ambassador Program, Gateway to McNair, these things are completely new. I've never heard of another McNair program implementing these sorts of things. So the sort of newfound approaches to going for success, general success, and being so invested in student success. And Wendy's next.
Absolutely. Okay, yeah, let's go with Wendy.
Okay, so I have a 2-word response to this question, and it is the people. Like, there will never be another McNair program like this one. Like, there ain't nobody like Dr. J. There ain't nobody like Anthony. There ain't nobody like Sunita. There ain't nobody like any of us. Like, that's just how it will always be, and there's nothing that can compare to that. Like, we're just a bunch of go-getters, and that's what it is. That's what it's about. That's what we do, and that's what we're going to keep doing. And once we're all in leadership positions to influence the next generation of people, that's what they're going to be too.
That is an amazing response, Wendy. And all of you had amazing responses to this, the great work that SLU McNair is doing and everything that you're all about over there. I do have a 2-part question. So education is still a widely debated topic, whether it's funding universities or funding education programs like TRIO. What would be your pitch to keep the McNair Scholars Program at SLU? And what more can SLU do to support McNair Scholars Programs? Anyone can take that question.
I'll start. If I was to talk to Freddie P., our president at SLU, I would say, if you really are talking about diversity, and if you really want diversity, and it's more than just you talking about it, and you want action, you will keep this program. If you really want to see change happen, if you really want to see people of color really take the reins in education, then you will allow a program that does just that. Like, before I went to SLU, I had never seen a black doctor, a black person with a doctorate degree, period. And when I realized that, I realized just how sad that was. There is no reason that Dr. Motley should be the first person that I see with a black doctorate. It's insane. And as far as support, if they really want to support McNair, they'll fund it more. There are so many opportunities that can be done with more money. And I feel like that proper support financially can open up so many more doors that are needed for such an amazing program. So that's just me. But,
Hope you're getting a lot of clapping reacts all over Zoom and a lot of agreement. Absolutely. Who else would like to answer that question?
I'll go ahead and take a stab at it. I would say that, if we're specifically talking about SLU, definitely like the McNair Scholars Program in and of itself helps with their, Jesuit mission. The whole idea of cura personalis, where you take care of the whole person. Sponsoring development within the, professional or the graduate experience for underrepresented undergraduates. It fits in way too conveniently to stop doing it. It's something that they can do, again, like what Hope was saying, with funding and everything, that is, it's quite literally an opportunity for them to really put the resources where their mouth is, and just kind of, really develop and help flourish that whole human being, that whole person within these underrepresented communities and areas. Oh, there was a two-parter, was it not? Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, Brandon. I would say that, just like Hope was saying, more funding, and letting people just kind of have more creative control on what exactly that support, what exactly those opportunities and things look like. Whether it be, just a good old movie night with cohort, and then you write a little response about it, or have a good discussion table, a round table about it, or trips here and there for grad school programs, when those are more safe to do, and all of that kind of good stuff, and just kind of making those opportunities more available.
Awesome. Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah, no problem.
I guess I can chime in. I do see it as being a social justice issue, really leveling the playing field by not only creating more access for Black, Brown, underrepresented, highly intellectual individuals when it comes to higher education and beyond, so all the way through graduate school, even beyond. It's an access issue, it's an equity issue, it's a social justice issue. And you really can't say that you believe in these things if you aren't actually taking the measures to bring them to fruition. I mean, you can post messages on Instagram, you can preach diversity, access, equity, all that all day long. But at the end of the day, students are going to be looking for, what are you actually doing to support me? Mm-hmm. And so McNair, really all the TRIO programs on our campus, but definitely McNair provides that level of access. I mean, first, it shows students that, first of all, let me show you something that you could actually achieve that maybe you didn't even think of, It's beyond your wildest dreams that you could actually attain a Ph.D. But now we have people who are doing it, who've done it, who are here to support you. That is such an awesome thing. I do want to say, in response to the second question, I've struggled a lot with bringing awareness to our campus community about the McNair Scholars Program. We struggle in our department with bringing awareness to the campus community about our department. And it's always amazing because we have to reach out even to admissions and say, hey, can you remember to mention us, when you're talking to prospective students or incoming students, and even then making sure they get the messaging right, because sometimes, depending on who's leading the tour or who's giving the speech, they may miss some key details that could really be a deciding factor for a lot of young scholars. And so I do a lot of the messaging, and I mean, part of my role really is to be like the PR person, but the amount of time and energy that I spend on doing that is I can't even begin to explain. If I didn't have that background in journalism and love to write and love to really celebrate and uplift other people, and especially our scholars, for me, it's almost like an outlet, but for someone else, gosh, it's hard. I've had maybe one article that was done on us that I didn't write. Everything else has been, me just working hard to utilize those skills and that background to publicize what's going on. And so people will say things to be like, oh, I saw another one of your posts on LinkedIn, or oh, I saw another one of those articles. But guess what? This is a DIY. It's a do-it-yourself initiative. And I feel like I have to do those things because if I don't, no one else will. Mm-hmm. So I would love to have some more support and people who take as much pride. And I'm not talking about people that are on this Zoom. I'm talking about at SLU, at our partner institutions, who take as much pride in the work that we're doing and all of the amazing things that are coming out of the program as we do.
Dr. Motley, thank you so much.
Sure.
If you all don't mind, I would like to move us along a little bit on the questions. I want to be respectful of y'all's time, and I know that we're already kind of over, about half an hour over. Dr. Motley, would you like me to just jump into the last two questions, or do you still want me to go ahead and extend it?
You can go ahead and just jump into the next.
Okay. So for the students, what's next for you? What career fields do you wish to be in, and what excites you most about the field that you're in?
I'm going into ecology, evolution, and conservation biology. And I'm very excited about this program because I've always had like an intrinsic fascination with nature and animals. And to be able to pursue this in a career and like really ask my own questions about this field, it's like my best dream ever. And I'm so glad that I'm in the midst of it, that I'm about to live it, that I'm like on a new frontier, so to speak. Where do I wish to be in the future? I really have no idea. That's where I kind of identify with Brandon on that level. Like, I don't really know what I want to be when I grow up. I know generally what I want to do. I want to somehow be out in the field in nature, asking my ecological research questions. But I'm not sure exactly in what facet. However, I do know that I wanted to have a component where I'll be able to be a visible leader in my field and in my community, so that I'll be able to sort of indoctrinate other students into STEM fields. These fields are usually ones that are, I guess, prone to exclude people who look like me. So as long as I'm there to provide that inclusive factor, I feel like that's when things will start to change. Things don't really change until I see it. So yeah, that's what I feel.
Thank you, Derek.
Okay. No, go ahead.
All right. I was going to say that as far as my field is concerned, I came into undergrad completely undecided, had no idea what I wanted to do. And I took my first psychology class, and I just kind of said, okay, that was cool. We'll see where this goes. But through the process, it's just been such a great way to just kind of explore those questions about like, why do people do what they do? Is particularly in our current world, and how the way we live and how interconnected but distant everyone is from each other. It's just such a weird dichotomy to like kind of navigate for, I feel like, a lot of people that we don't really think about too much. We just kind of do it, but it's just kind of like, it's weird that like I'm burned out from Zooming all day versus like actually going to a meeting physically. It feels different. It definitely feels different. So it's just kind of like, all those different ways where technology meets, human interaction and, what we do. And yeah, that's the really weird part. That's the really interesting part. As far as what do I want to do? I mean, it's like, at this point, I'm just ready to try a lot of different things like I was doing with majors and seeing what sticks and what I really go, wow, that's really cool. I want to keep doing this rather than just this. Rather than just like a innate drive for this one thing I want to do. I really want to teach, or I really want to do research, or I really want to do this. I'll just try it all and see what I like.
I like that. Very good response there, Brandon.
Thanks.
Either Wendy or Hope.
So I guess I'll go next. I plan on getting my master's and then my Ph.D. in speech language pathology. And I'm just so excited to research neurocognitive disorders and how those affect speech, just because the brain is such an interesting place to live in and be. And I would really like to work with kids just because, like, I'm a kid at heart. Like, I'm this massive 5-year-old in a 21 body. It feels like I love glitter. I love unicorns. I love finger paint. Like, you name it, I'm into it. And I'm just so excited to see what my education and what I've learned from McNair and TRIO leads me, because I feel like there are skills that I've learned here that I don't think I could have gotten anywhere else. And it's just, I'm so excited to like give that to the kids I work with, to show them that anything is possible and that you don't need to think about your past or anything like that to set you back. All you got to look at is your present and what you want your future to be. So I'm excited to share what I've learned from Dr. Motley and Anthony and Sunita to kids that I will work with.
Right on. Thank you, Hope.
Okay, so I guess I'm next. So my plans are getting my master's, then my PhD, and then hopefully becoming a PI. But one of the things that kind of come along with that is the social change aspect. You know, there are many underrepresented groups in STEM, and if I can propagate that change or even get, you know, more people to care and get that change from the inside of the institutions to work towards like a more equal educational opportunity, like Dr. J was saying, for all walks of life, I think, you know, that is going to be what's next for me. Like, it excites me the most that there's so much work to do in discovering the unknown. So, like I said, I'm a neuroscience major, but what I'm really interested in is neuroendocrinology. And that's a relatively new field, and it has like tons of potential to discover therapeutic targets to help, like, not with only treating diseases, but my main thing is to prevent these diseases that results in poor qualities of life. And to me, like, there's no better educational pursuit or time well spent.
Thank you, Wendy. So now I have one last question. This goes out to the entire group. This is the most important question that I've asked so far in this podcast. What hobbies or skills have you picked up since being quarantined in this pandemic? And it cannot be Netflix related.
I'll go first. Like I said earlier, I've been cooking a lot. I've been cooking a lot, actually. Even my mom is surprised because even though, yes, it's a skill that I do have, I don't enjoy doing it. But apparently I needed COVID I needed coronavirus to start enjoying to cook again. So yes, I've been cooking a lot.
Well, the other day, I just declared that I am a collage artist. I'm a collage artiste.
Dr. Motley?
Yes.
I was going to say, the collage that you submitted to promote this episode that we were going to use for marketing, such a beautiful collage. I don't know if everyone has had a chance to see it. Such a wonderfully done collage. It was so beautifully done. So we're going to use it for our marketing materials.
Awesome. Thank you. And I was kind of saying that in jest, but I do think that, everyone knows both Sunita and I share a love of photography. And for me, it's not just the pictures, but putting them together in such a way that really creates something even more beautiful. And so it's a way for me to relax and also add to my photo archives. I love to look back on some of the collages and just photos in general and reminisce about some of the amazing experiences I've had with the scholars and just in my life in general.
Thank you, Dr. Motley. Who else would like to go?
For me, it's reading and writing. These are things that, I would be doing like all throughout my academic career, but it's different when you're doing it for fun rather than a requirement for a grade. So just sort of reclaiming that ability to read and write for fun, writing down your thoughts or reading a novel that you always wanted to get into but never had the time. those are things that I've like reclaimed. Not new things, but things that I've reclaimed.
Derek, I relate to that so much in that when I completed my master's in 2016, I was so burnt out with reading and research that it took me a couple of years to get back into just leisure reading and to reclaim that and say, all right, I really like doing that part. That's really aspect of my identity that I liked. So I agree with that 100%.
I also picked up reading and writing. Actually took a writing fiction course this past semester. So yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of time to practice and do all that kind of stuff. I think I've bought like at least 10, 12, I don't know, books of just stuff that I'm like, ooh, that looks neat. Put it in my cart. And, all of that good stuff where it's just like, okay, I have the time, so I might as well do it before I don't have any. So, hopefully we'll be able to manage out some time to keep doing that. But realistically, it's going to be much less than right now.
Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah, I've also been reading a lot. I've been able to start reading Stephen King's It, which is a massive, massive book. And it's very interesting to see how reading a horror novel about a killer clown can turn you away from the horror movie that is 2020.
That is the best comment so far. I love it.
Well, I'll go next.
Absolutely.
Before COVID-19, I would always go to the gym a lot, especially during my lunch break and stuff at work, because I like fitness in the gym. So I've been coming up with creative ways to try to stay, active and fit and all that good stuff at home. Me and my wife, we like to go on walks with my dog and stuff a lot, especially since the weather and stuff has been a lot nice lately. And just like other people have mentioned, I've been doing a lot of reading too as well. A lot of things that I read for leisure are still centered around higher education, just because I like it a lot and I want to continue to even develop my skills even beyond what I'm learning in the classroom and as far as my dissertation work. So I've been doing a lot of side reading when I can too as well. So I would say those are my top 3 things that I've really been doing on the side since COVID-19.
Thank you, Anthony. Did we get everybody? I want to make sure we got everybody to contribute.
Now I feel really bad because I feel like everyone has been reading and writing. Cooking and eating.
I have not.
Okay, good.
So let's see, what have I been doing? I have not been reading and writing. I've been more on a kind of introspective lens, trying to reflect and ask myself some hard questions that normally I would just kind of put off to the side, like, oh, I don't have time, that's not important. So making my mental health and physical health has been a priority for me lately. I've been doing a lot of singing and painting. I've became a professional sleeper, and I've been eating a lot of Chipotle.
I like that, Wendy. Thank you so much for sharing. I want to once again thank you all for being on the podcast. This was such a unique experience, not only for us, but for our audience. Once again, this is the McNair Scholars Program at St. Louis University in St. Louis, Missouri. I want us to go ahead and sign off. All of us, one by one, starting with the students and then the staff. If you could just, again, tell us your name and your program, and for the staff, your name, your title, and we'll sign off that way.
Who first?
You.
Okay, my name's Wendy Teal. I am now a master's student of biology at St. Louis University. Thanks for having us. Bye.
My name is Brandon Hughes. I'm a Ph.D. student in the social psychology program at St. Louis University. Thank you for having us.
My
Oh, I'm Derek McFarland. Derek McFarland, a Ph.D. student in ecology, evolution, and conservation biology at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. Thanks so much. I appreciate the opportunity.
My name is Hope Conyers. I'm a rising senior in communication sciences and disorders at St. Louis University. And thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been fun.
I'll go next. My name is Sunita Manu, and I am the graduate assistant for the McNair Scholars Program at St. Louis University. Thank you so much for having us. This has been great.
And I am Dr. Jamie Motley. I'm the program director for SLU McNair, and it's been a real pleasure.
And my name is Anthony Parker-Gills. I'm the academic coordinator for the McNair Scholars Program, and thanks so much for having us.
Thank you all. It was such an honor on this end to have the SLU Trio McNair in the podcast. We hope to catch you up with all of you in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you a participant, alum, or staff of a TRIO program? Do you want your program highlighted? You or your program could be featured in an upcoming episode of Let's Talk TRIO. Get a hold of us by going to our Facebook page or Instagram and send us a direct message. Search for Let's Talk TRIO. We want to get your story to the public.
What a great interview with the TRIO McNair program at SLU. I want to thank Dr. Jamie Motley for being on the podcast and for the students and the alum for being on there. Thank you all so much for contributing and for discussing and giving us your perspective of the McNair program and letting us know about your research and where you plan to go from here. The overall conversation was such a great joy to have. I really enjoyed listening to their stories, listening about their research and the things that they're doing individually. And every single one in that podcast, my hope was that they were able to give their voice and provide their perspective. Remember, if you would ever like to be featured on Let's Talk TRIO, please send us a message via Facebook, Instagram, or Gmail. You can reach us at letstalktrio@gmail.com. Let's Talk TRIO is all one word. Again, that's letstalktrio@gmail.com. Thank you to our sponsors, Angelica Villalpando and Student Access, for sponsoring today's episode. If you'd like to be a sponsor for Let's Talk TRIO, go over to our Patreon page and donate any dollar amount. If you are a company or organization and would like to sponsor Let's Talk TRIO, head over to our Patreon, scroll down to the bottom of the page, and you'll see a company sponsorship. You can be a patron for $100 a month, and we will run your ad on the podcast. A quick thank you to the podcast team. John Russell, our editor, music producer, and audio engineer. Amelia Castañeda, our producer and marketing manager. Juan Rivas, executive producer and host. Honorary members of Let's Talk TRIO include Roderick Chambers, Tony Ho, and Scott Kendall. We thank you all very much for listening. We'll catch you on the next episode.